Hello, DevOps friends! Welcome. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. Welcome to my live coding stream. It's Wednesday, which hasn't been my usual live coding scheduled day, but, well, there wasn't any schedule to speak of lately anyway. So I'm going to try and get a new schedule in place, which is Tuesday live stream, Wednesday live stream, and on Thursday nights I am going to start a free live streamed Linux course. You can get all the details using the !Linux course command. Starting tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Dublin time, which is at 6 p.m. Dublin time, which is 7 p.m. Central European time. We're going to do basic Linux system administration. I'm going to guide my viewers through all the basic Linux system administration skills that are necessary to get into system administration, into DevOps, into SRE, and it's going to be completely free. You can take part simply by joining one of my my streams. I am multi-streaming to 3 different channels, so you have all the choice in the world. And we're going to start tomorrow. As I said, use the !Linux course command to find out more. And today we're doing some live coding, or it's rather live DevOpsing, because I need to check out Kamal. I've known of Kamal as a deployment tool for quite a while. I tried it out a little bit, didn't get far to be honest, but now we really need to get a grip on Kamal because we need to move our customer dashboard off Heroku. I intended to do that anyway, simply for cost-saving reasons. But yesterday, Heroku started to insult our application by calling it a big slug. That is at least what the error message said. It said that the slug is too big, which in technical terms means that our code base, including all the dependencies, is larger than 500 megabytes. And therefore Heroku won't deploy it anymore. Well, that's shit. And so I decided, okay, I wanted to do this anyway. I didn't like Heroku much in recent times anyway. Now Heroku doesn't like me either, and so it's best to go separate ways. And so today I'm going to try and deploy our dashboard as a test installation first to a server of our own, and we'll see how well that goes. We'll start by simply deploying the Rails app, which is then not going to work because the Rails app needs at least another database in the form of a PostgreSQL database, and it will also need a Redis database. And so we'll go step by step through Kamal's features to get this deployed on our own infrastructure and therefore our own control. That's the plan for today. However, let's not make this an hour-long or 2-hour or even 3-hour monologue on my side. If there's anything that you'd like to ask, if there's anything that you'd like to share, please post it to chat. Chat is open on all 3 channels, so feel free to say hello and maybe share something that you like, maybe share some open source software that's been that you've been enjoying lately. In the case of Moo, it might be NixOS. Hello Moo, how are you doing? So yeah, let's make this a 2-way conversation. Now, let's get into using Kamal, shall we? I have already set up a server And so we can go right ahead and start creating a new branch for our changes. First, let's make sure I have all the latest updates. I do. So let's do a git new branch Kamal deployment. And I guess we'll start by adding Kamal to our gem file. We'll need that in development at least. So we'll add that here because I want to keep the gem lists alphabetically sorted. So Kamal will go here, and I think I'm happy with always getting the latest version and being able to easily update Kamal whenever I do a bundle update. And that should enable me to do a bundle install. However, since we are using a private gem repository as well, I'll use .env bundle install because in my .env file I have a GitHub token that allows me to pull from the internal gem registry or gem package repository. And that should get us Kamal installed. Kamal uses SSH, that's why there are quite a few SSH related dependencies in there. And we'll try and initialize Kamal as soon as I've taken care of a little bit of housekeeping here. All right, so I have bought the unofficial Kamal handbook. What is it called? Let me see. It's not in the table of contents, so let's go back to here. Let's go out here. It's called Kamal Handbook, The Missing Manual by Josef Stribny. Oh, Stribny. Oh, the Eastern European names are really hard to pronounce. Sorry for butchering your name, Josef. Yeah, and this book is a nice overview over Kamal and also practical applications of Kamal. I decided to support another indie creator and also get all the Kamal knowledge in a very compact format, which this book is. So we will do a Kamal init, which creates a deploy.yaml in the config directory and a .kamal directory where we can add additional hooks. So we can extend Kamal functionality with our own custom stuff. And the deploy.yaml is going to be one of the central places where stuff is going to happen. And so let's get that on screen. It's called deploy.yaml. Here we go. And since I already have the IP address in my clipboard, let's make sure it's already in here. The application is going to be called Dashboard API. We will need an image, and I am not sure what this image is going to be named. Let me see if I can find out how this is going to be named. Container registry. The registry is... okay, the whole path. I guess I will have to use the full name here. Because yes, of course, we will use the same repository where the application code base is stored, also as our container registry. Which means I will have to authenticate Kamal with this registry, and we will certainly have to use my GitLab username for that, and the password, aka token, is going to be stored in a secret called Kamal registry password. And there is going to be a second file in the Kamal configuration that will store either the secrets directly, or it will store how Kamal can retrieve secrets like this token. The nice thing about Kamal is that it also supports a few password managers, especially 1Password, which we are using in our team. And so I will be able to create a 1Password entry with all the necessary secrets, share that with the team, and have Kamal pull these secrets directly from 1Password. And that way we will have them stored nicely and safely without any issues, and we won't have them lying around on any single developer workstation. Now, what else do we need? We will need an SSH user. I'm going to install a new user called deploy. First, I thought I'd use the user Kamal, but I think I'm going to use a more generic name, because that will allow us maybe to use Kamal even for deployments in our managed hosting platform. And by using a more generic name, yeah, it's a little bit less prominent what tool we are using at any particular time. So, builder setup, I think we'll leave that as is for the time being. And we will have to define accessories, which are basically auxiliary services, later, because we'll need a database and we'll need Redis. We won't use MySQL here because the application is using Postgres-specific features, namely sequences, and so we will have to install Postgres and Redis as accessories in a later step. Let's see, custom arguments for traffic? No. I wonder why traffic is even listed here, because as I recall, if I recall correctly, traffic only was used with Kamal 1, and Kamal 2 comes with the Kamal proxy. And, well, Kamal proxy might be based on traffic, I have no idea actually. I'm just a little bit surprised that there is mention of traffic instead of Kamal proxy. Let's make sure we're using a recent version of Kamal. Kamal version. Ah, see, we are using Kamal 1. Why might that be? Why might that be? Do we have to force this? So let me check the handbook here. It just says gem install Kamal. It might be because I didn't use bundle exec Kamal version. It's still 193. Let's find out. What the version dependencies for Kamal are, or the version constraints. We need active support greater than 7, which I think is the case. Let's take a look. Action support is not in here? How's that possible? Very strange. Yes, it is. We have 7.2. So that's okay. So we should be able to get to 7. There must be another constraint. How about site work? Two, 7, 3. Yeah, that's okay. That's strange. Let's go through them one by one. Active support. 7.2. Decrypt. 3.1. But the PBKDF is 1, version 1.1, that's okay. And current Ruby, interesting. Yeah, we do have that. Version 1, yep, that's fine. .env. .2.8. At 25. 1. Version 1, yeah. NetSSH. Don't think we already have that in here. Well, we had that in here before Kamal. I think it's in 7.3. SSH kit. 124. Yep, that's fine. 4. 1.4. How odd. We're only a few minutes in and we already have strange stuff that's keeping me from making progress. It's always annoying when that happens. But it's often the case that I'm overlooking something. So if you have any hints where I'm missing something, then I would appreciate any nudge. We can, of course, force an update. Simply telling Bundler what I actually want, and hopefully Bundler is going to tell us what the problem is, or it will do what it's supposed to do. Okay. because .env Rails and .env Rails. Maybe we should do a bundle update, because that looks like it could be resolved. I have no specific demands. .env Rails bundle update .env Rails. Of course. I still need to get used to using .env for bundle commands. It might be pinned to something. .env Rails 2.1. Do we have to pin that in any way? .env -Rails. It's version 3 by now. And I have no, we don't use anything that should keep us from pinning, or would it require us to pin that? I mean, all we have is a .env file, and so that should work nicely. No idea what the major version change in there is, but I'm pretty sure we can live with it. Did it update Kamal as well? Yes, it did. Now we are running 2.7.0. That's much better. And so let's again... Let's pin it to version 2. That's okay. No idea what version 3 is going to bring. And if we want to get version 3, then we can do an update manually. Pinning to a major version is okay. Good. What we're going to do is we will remove the deploy YAML and recreate one with Kamal in it. And now it also created the .kamal secrets file. Nice. So let's go back to our deploy YAML, load it. Okay, so let's start over. Service is going to be dashboard-API. We'll grab the image from the container registry. And we'll grab the server again from here. We won't have an additional host for job. This is going to be, well, the same host. So we'll just grab that. And we'll need a command. I'm actually not sure. We are using deliver later. And I'll have to look up how this is going to get started, because Heroku did that for us in the past, and I have no recollection of what it is, but there might be a proc file where this is defined. Let's take a look. That's just the web server though. Interesting. No jobs here? Okay. Yeah, and I only execute jobs manually using rake when necessary when I did some job-related development, so we'll have to look that up. Okay. Other than that, we will get the proxy. As I said, here now is no mention of traffic anymore because that is the Kamal proxy. Whatever they used to build this. Registry is going to have my username and a token stored in Kamal registry password. We're going to deploy to AMD64. We can actually use the Ruby version. It's either going to be RBNV version or yeah, it's RBNV version for the time being. I really need to try out RV, which is a new Ruby version manager that has features that go far beyond RBNV and even Mies. So I'm very curious how RV is going to work. Environment variables, we'll need quite a few, but they're mostly going to be secrets, I think. So I guess we can use the .env example file to get a list of the necessary secrets. We will need, that's okay. We'll need a database host, yeah. Redis URL, Stripe stuff, Zendesk stuff, and segment integration. Not sure if the Satismeter integration is still in there. Should be deactivated. So we'll use that. So right, we'll this here. DB host is going to be Postgres, yes. Redis URL is going to be Redis on Redis. That's how we are going to call the services later. And then, of course, we'll have to wait. We don't have to have values here in here anyway. Because they're secrets. Okay. Same goes for those. We can actually add that as a clear variable. It's fine. Zendesk user. That's something that we'll keep to ourselves. Token anyway, and segment right here as well. So quite a list of secrets that we'll have to pull out of 1Password here. And what else? Here we have the SSH user, which is going to be deploy. I'll have to create that user. A persistent storage volume. A central storage volume? Not sure if we need that. We'll have, of course, storage volumes related to each service, so that Postgres can store its data in a persistent way. But I don't think we need a central directory for that. We'll use local storage to store these things and make sure to have backups. Are we going to bridge fingerprinted assets? That might actually help, but I'll have to read up on that before I enable it, so I don't run into any issues. Rolling deploys by setting a wait time. Not at the moment, and we'll take care of the accessories section later once the main application deploys successfully. It won't run successfully without the accessories, but it should deploy. One step at a time. Then that's that. Okay. Which means we will have to grab our IP address. Oh. And we'll go right ahead and create our deploy user, which is going to be the only user that we are going to use on this machine. User add -d Are we going to use a specific directory? I think it would make sense to go into varlib Kamal. We'll use bash as the shell. That should be default. Yeah. That should do the trick. That should be ID 1000. Yep. Yeah, it's all one root file system, so varlib is okay. Wouldn't make a difference if I put it in /srv, for example. Sam Linux, hello! How you doing? Now, that's the deploy user. If I do a Kamal server bootstrap, it's going to try and do the whole deployment, including creating a Docker image, pushing that to a registry, and so on and so forth. So that means I'll have to take care of secrets now. Let's see. There is a file .kamal secrets, which we should exclude from Git. Let's check if there's anything in .gitignore to that record. No, there isn't, so it will add .kamal. I mean, .kamal is okay, I guess, just not .kamal secrets. Yeah, the hooks should be in there. So we have consistent deployment processes, but the secrets need to be excluded. Except if we use 1Password, that is. In that case, the secrets could actually be shared because they will only reference an item in our 1Password vault. And that should be okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be the way I'm going to do things here. Now, let's take a look at Kamal secrets. Yeah, we need at least the Kamal registry password, and at the moment it'll grab that from an environment variable. That is actually how we could start out, because I can then use .env to inject these environment variables, and I can simply enter stuff into my local .env file, which is not part of the Git repository. XAMPP Linux, you're perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. You will enjoy far less ads over there. Far fewer ads. Okay. The only thing is I need to put the registry password in there. And so I'll need to check how we deal with access tokens. And that is definitely something that I need to do behind the scenes. So excuse me while I'm doing secret stuff. Project access token creation is disabled in this group. Will we use a project access token? Yeah, that makes sense. So not everyone will need their own. We just have to enable that in group settings. Okay. Let's see. Is that something we can do? I think this might be because we are using a free GitLab account. Personal access tokens. I guess. So we might have to use personal access tokens after all. Group access tokens is part of the free tier, so project access tokens should be as well. Let me see, learn more. Project access tokens. Project access tokens needs a premium or ultimate subscription. Okay, so we can't use that. We could use group access tokens though. Does that make sense? I have no idea. Group access tokens is not enabled. Not enable that now. Permissions and group features. Can't find any settings around that. This might be a bug in the documentation. I'm pretty sure this is also outside of our plan. We'll use personal access tokens then. So let me see. I think I'm going to create a new one. Yeah, I created a personal token with read registry permissions. Registry access. I will also have to have write repository, because Kamal is going to create an image locally and then it'll push it to the registry. That should do it. Let's store that in one password. Okay, and I will also export that to, or store that in Kamal registry password. Export Kamal registry password equals okay. That is that. I think I can let you watch again. How about the other secrets? That's probably not going to work, right? If I do... Oh, we should also install Docker on our VPS here. Kamal would initialize a Docker installation by pulling it from docker.com, but I'd rather have the local the distribution package for Docker, so it gets updated and yeah, so we can benefit from the LTS features of Ubuntu. So I will try and install that, which is the correct package name though, apt search Docker. Wait, what? We should also do an upgrade, I guess. The provisioning image might not be completely up to date. Yep, 12 packages can be upgraded. But let's find out... yeah, that's a little bit more of a... It's docker.io. Yep. There's also a Docker registry package. I'll have to look into that later. So let's do an apt upgrade. At the moment, I'm doing all of these things manually because I don't expect myself to have to do it a lot, so it's fine. And then Kamal will take over and do all the automation that we need. However, if we would deploy Kamal at scale, then I will definitely set up something like OpenTofu to help us set up the Kamal hosts identically and in a homogeneous way. So that is that, and then we will install docker.io. And now we can also add our deploy user to the Docker group. Okay. Is Docker PS ready? Yep, that works. Nice. I think we could give Kamal setup a try. I would probably expect it to fail because we didn't define any of the additional secrets yet. So I could fake that in the secrets file because they won't matter for the time being anyway. Okay, so let's do a Kamal setup. Or let's do a Kamal bootstrap. Env clear should be a hash. Yes. And I guess should look like this. Oops. It's Kamal server bootstrap. Yes, we will have to add our SSH keys. So I guess we can simply go to our server and do this by hand. See, that is all stuff that OpenTofu could take off my hands eventually. We'll add our own authorized keys to home deploy SH authorized keys. I think we could actually simply copy it over. We will have to change permissions anyway and ownerships. So let's do it somewhat. 700 for the SSH. We'll do a 600. That should actually be the case already, right? It's 600 already. It's just not owned by the right user, so we'll do a shown deploy for home deploy SSH authorized keys, and that should take care of things. And a Kamal server bootstrap should now work, right? Yeah, I guess so. Let's see what happens. Oof. Okay, why is that the case? It should be using my SSH key. And that's already in the SSH agent locally. Wait. What's the IP address? I should be able to do that without getting asked for password. Huh? Look at me failing at the most simple stuff. Home deploy.ssh. Yeah, I shouldn't have used the... No, that's so annoying. You know what? We can do that. That's authorized keys. Oh, it's okay. Not sure if that's a problem, but that's definitely cleaner. And the directory is still owned by root. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess doing it this way would have been much more straightforward. Because now this works, so now this should work too. It simply checked if there is a .kamal directory and created it, and then it checked if Docker is available, and that's already the case, so it didn't have to do anything else. So the server is bootstrapped. Hello. So let's now try Kamal setup. Let's see how a first deployment looks like. Okay, what is failing here? It's trying to access docker.io. Why is that the case though? Is it trying to pull stuff from docker.io, from Docker Hub? my own image is set to GitLab. But Docker might need, Kamal might need additional stuff from Docker Hub. So will we have to create a Docker Hub secret as well? It does what? Docker version, Docker build-x version. That seems to have been successful. And then it tries to log into Docker Hub. It does -u-p locally. And without any host name. So maybe I have to, either I have to provide a host name, so it does try to log in as with my credentials to gitlab.com instead of docker.io. Yeah, I think that's the case. Let's find out. Kamal, GitLab registry. Maybe there's something specific for GitLab. Does Kamal registry login? In his case, it tries git.registry. That's of course not correct. Let's search a little bit more in a generic way. Registry, Kamal, deploy. Yeah, that looks good. The default registry is Docker Hub, but you can change it using registry/server. Okay, where's the registry? Yes. So we'll add a server gitlab.com or even registry.gitlab.com. Oh, yeah. There's even a comment about that. Okay. Do it this way. Let's try this again. We are building. We might have to use .env because the build process will also need access to our private gem repository. However, buildx is going to use my .env file where the credentials are actually included. We're installing. I should do set apt to non-interactive to at least prevent a few warnings there. What's the actual option? Apt Docker file apt install clean reliable Docker files. Don't install unnecessary packages. Even this example doesn't actually set this to Debian non-interactive, or what it's called. I mean, it does work, but sometimes I'm a stickler for the details. Okay, so we did not manage to get these in there. Why is that the case? We'll have to look that up. That's an edge case when the Docker build requires build secrets. But let's finish that previous thread first. Non-interactive something. Yeah, that's what I meant. Debian front-end non-interactive. So let's go into our Docker file and set that from the get-go. And with that done, let's see, builders. Builder examples. Fullsnabel, hello. How's life in your neck of the woods? Happy hump day, everyone. Let's see, builder examples, using remote builder, using local builder, using different Docker file, or context. Oh, that's all fine. Docker file and context is default. Multi-stage. Using build secrets for no images. Some images need a secret passed in during build time, like a GitHub token, give access to private gem repositories. Here we go! It even says gem repositories. Interesting. This can be done by selecting the secret in Kamal secrets, then referencing it in the builder configuration. Alright, so what we can do then is we need bundle. Wait. No, wait. Yes, the bundler GitHub ID only gets set when I use Docker Compose, but not when I use Docker standalone. So we'll have to rewire that. Okay, so first of all, let's add it to our secrets, where we say, simply take it from the eponymous environment variable. We can then use .env to get that environment variable set. And now we'll need to tell the Docker file to actually use that, which means Let's start from the Kamal configuration, because that will make it more straightforward. So in our deploy YAML, in the builder section, we'll have another section where we say secrets and that, because that's how it's going to be. We could actually I'm torn. This name is so unwieldy, and I'm not sure if I would use multiple GitHub tokens for different ways to access. At the moment, this is the only authentication I need, but I think I would rather use GitHub token here, and I actually have defined that in my .env file as well. So let's use GitHub token, and then we can say ID is GitHub token, and we could actually then say bundle Ruby gems blah blah blah. That's how bundler needs it, and we'll do GitHub token again. Okay. Doing it this way looks a little bit more straightforward. It's easier to identify. And actually doing an... Do we need to nuke the bundle cache here? I'm not even sure if that gets used. Might not. But since it's wrapping this line anyway, I think we should actually break this down. We'll simply do this, and then we'll do the actual command. This is more legible, and it's also, it won't be wrapped by Vim. Okay, since I do have defined my GitHub token in my .env file, we should be able to do a .env Kamal setup. It will grab the GitHub token. Is that actually the way I now referenced it in here? No, it's not. So what we need is GitHub token equals env variable GitHub token, and we can even add that. Hi, Pixel Buttercup. How are you today? Private gem repository. Yeah. Okay, let's do .env command setup. Ooh. Okay. Run secrets bundler kit. What? This is going to fail again because we missed a change. No, what? What's going on? It still says ID bundler GitHub. Did I not save the Docker file? I might not. Nope. Huh? What the fuck is going on? Pixel Buttercup says, here I am thinking about creating my own YouTube channel about architecture and development. Nice! Nice, that's a grand idea. What is going on? What's up with that Docker file? It's... What? I am flabbergasted. We are using ID GitHub token and reading run secrets GitHub token into the bundler variable. Why is it using an outdated Docker file? How is that even possible? Is it caching the Docker file somewhere? Hungry Hippo, hello! Well. How's it going with Kamal so far? Has it been much of a pain? Wondering because it seems like everyone I talk to about Kamal says it's kind of a pain to get set up. Well, I've been working on this since, for an hour at least, and we are still not getting our Docker image built, so it is kind of a pain, but I'm not going to blame Kamal for that. Because it's to a large extent simply because I'm not familiar with it yet. That's exactly what I set out to do today, to get more familiar with Kamal. And now I'm struggling with quite an edge case where I need a build secret injected into the image build process, and it's behaving strangely in here. That might also be something that's not fully Kamal's fault. And at the moment I'm confused because the Docker file it executes is not the Docker file that I have just stored on disk. Is there some kind of caching going on? Well, no. At least not obviously. I am absolutely confused. Am I talking about the issue where it says something about missing Rails master key? Nope, not yet there. But that's a good hint, because I will have to grab a few things off Heroku, especially the variable list that we've stored on there, because the number of secrets will have to be extended at least to include the Rails master key that I haven't included yet. Secret keybase, basically the detailed information that's necessary for encrypted database fields, encrypted database columns. We'll have to take care of that yet. However, my approach is going to be, I simply want to see the application getting deployed. It's not going to work from the outset anyway, because we'll still have to set up Postgres and Redis and maybe a few more things until the application will be actually online. I'm going to do this step by step. At the moment, we'll have to solve the issue that the Docker file I'm providing is not the Docker file that gets used for building, which is absolutely weird. Is it the course app or is it another one? What course app are you referring to, Pixel Buttercup? But to answer your question, it's a different app. It's the customer dashboard for our managed hosting platform. We've been hosting that on Heroku for 10 years or so. And recently I already started planning to move it off Heroku to our own self-hosting, simply for cost reasons. And yesterday I ran into an issue where Heroku complains that our slug is becoming too large, or has become too large, and it won't deploy it anymore. And the slug is simply said just our code with all the dependencies, and they went over 500 megabytes, and now Heroku is not going to deploy it anymore. So that's basically forcing my hand now to move our application off Heroku anyway. And that's why I decided, okay, I wanted to do a Wednesday live stream anyway, because I will do my course live lectures on Thursday. So I'm not planning a live stream, a live coding stream for Thursday afternoon anymore. That would be just too much talking to a camera. So yeah, I said, okay, since we are going to do live coding streams on Wednesdays anyway, let's do a live coding stream exploring Kamal and starting to get ready to migrate our application off Heroku to our own VPS. And that's where we are at the moment. Oh yeah, by course app you meant the one that we were working on last week, the Linux course. Actually, remember that one was built on Jekyll. It was, and deploying that is really easy because I simply deploy it to GitLab pages, and that's actually online at courses.monospacementor.com. where you can see Lindsys 1, my course Basic Linux System Administration, that I'm going to start for free tomorrow on all 3 live coding channels. You can get more details by using the !linuxcourse command. And yeah, it's going to be a live streamed Linux administration for beginners course. Starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Dublin time, 7 p.m. Central European time. It's completely free. You can simply tune into one of my live coding channels and take part in the course. I would request that you sign up on the page that Pixel Buttercup just has requested, because by providing me with your email address, I can inform you of schedule changes and additional information, stuff that comes up during the course. And of course, it'll also help me gauge the interest and see how many people are going to take part. So if you can go to mspc.sh/free-linux-course and sign up there if you're interested, that would make this old man really, really happy. The GID's joining us. Hello, how you doing? Now, tell me, Docker, why you are using an outdated Docker file. Load build definition from Docker file. This is very strange. It loads Ruby 345, which means, well, yeah, of course, it's the almost recent Docker file, but it's not the current Docker file. This is very confusing. That's the new Docker file with ID, GitHub token, and everything broken up in nice short lines. Should do the same with these lines up there. However, those will be harder to break up. Well, yeah, still possible, mainly. But it must be something with Docker build. Let's see, what is it doing? Docker build-x build. Output type registry platform builder Kamal blah 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 registry gitlab.com. That is incorrect. Okay. We'll have to fix that. So we should not include the registry server in the image name. Okay, that's fine. Dash dash file Docker file. What? Okay, let's fix the deploy YAML file so we do work with a good image name. We'll... Oh, no, that's not the correct way to comment that out. Let's do it this way. If I do Kamal setup without the .env, will it use the correct Docker file? No. This is just... what? It's not executing this via SSH and it's using a cached version on the server, is it? Where does it say? Running as gvs at localhost, so it's running it locally, not on the server. What the frick is going on? Tell me, am I missing anything? How is it using a Docker file that is not around anymore? Do I have to purge an image there or something? The issue is this run command in my Docker file where I extract a secret called bundler-github, or where it tries to extract a secret called bundler-github, and then stores it in the bundler environment variable that's necessary to access our internal GitHub gem repository. However, that ID is not current anymore. It should use the ID GitHub token. And this run command does actually not exist anymore. The Docker file, I've already fixed the Docker file to say mount type secret ID GitHub token, because that's what Kamal is going to inject. And it needs to then read run secrets GitHub token, identical, using the same ID as up here. And it doesn't. let's see. Yeah, I thought of a cache as well, Moo. Thank you for the hint, but there isn't any. At least none that I know of. Maybe Docker has some kind of. Yeah, that title does look exactly what I'm doing here. I've updated Docker. A Docker cache related. So both Hungry Hippo and Moo are right. If you clear the Docker cache, what do we have to do? Try committing the Docker file to Git. Oh! Yeah! Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I think the problem is, and I read that earlier today and I forgot it again, Kamal uses head and not the current working tree. Okay. So yeah, we can fix that. Let's see. I think we can actually simply go ahead and commit that as it is. WIP Kamal setup. So let's do a .env Kamal setup again. Still at the package installation phase. Starting to build the image from scratch, which is encouraging. Okay, we'll have to commit changes before we try another deployment. That's good to know. So that's definitely a habit to create. Hungry Hippo says, definitely feels like the docs need more work, so many hidden gotchas that aren't mentioned clearly or at all. That's true, and in part that, mostly that's the reason why I'm using, why I've bought a book by a developer who wrote a book on Kamal, and so I have something that is compact, and I don't have to try and collect everything from the Kamal website and from GitHub issues and where else. But I still run into the problem that I actually remember reading about Kamal using head for deployment, but it just didn't click that means that I'll have to commit changes all the time. That's correct. Kamal Handbook, the missing manual. At the moment, we are at chapter 4.3 Kamal setup. And we are installing gems, which means authentication to our private gem repository was successful. I guess the next hurdle is going to be pushing the image to our private GitLab container registry. I did set a environment variable with my GitLab token. Could also store that in my .env file. That would make things easier. We could interpret that pause as it pushing the image successfully. I think this works. Now we've definitely gone further than in my previous attempt of using Kamal, but that still was Kamal 1. Now we are almost at the point where we deploy this image on the server itself. Now that the most essential things are in place, this does feel good. I'm quite confident that this is going to be fun to use. Time to hydrate. It's doing multiple exports here because it uses both the git SHA as a label as well as latest. If I got this correctly, however, I think it'll only tag the image as latest after successfully deploying the image. So that latest will always reflect which version is running on the server, not just which is the most recently built image, which might not have been able to deploy correctly, which is clever. Now I'm getting a little bit queasy because it's doing this export so many times. Is it in an error loop here without any error messages? What is it doing? It tries poodle, push token. But that's correct. Yeah, the token is set up to read and write the registry. So if there isn't an additional permission necessary, then it should work. And we're not getting any error messages, so not sure what's going on here. Maybe that's just when you're doing it for the first time. Okay. Now we are... now we've switched to the remote server. It might just have taken a long time because it had to push all the layers of the image build. And that's going to be quicker in the future because the base images or the base image will already be stored in the registry. Or to be more precise, all the base layers will already be stored and only the later layers that get changed will have to be pushed. Okay, it's running Kamal proxy. Now it's doing a lot of things. Docker container, okay. Exception while executing secret Rails master key not found. Yeah, okay. So we'll have to provide that. I guess for the time being we can simply fudge it by using another environment variable that might actually not even be not sure what happens if we don't set it. We can set it to a bogus value though, so let's go into our secrets. I'm not bothering much with secrets yet. Rails master key, so Rails master key will be set to Rails master key, and of course we'll have to export that to the application, which is going to be part of the secrets. It's already in here. We just haven't defined it yet. So maybe that's the case. Let's see if it'll complain about DB host next, because yeah, we've listed quite a few secrets here without defining them in the secret file. It's worth a try to see what happens. Now that we've defined it, even though it's not set, we could set it from my local Rails master key. I'm just not sure. I'll have to look that up if those are identical. I don't think I made them identical. Our production application will probably use a different Rails master key than the one that I'm using here for development, which would be the sensible thing to do. Dear past me. However, let's see if we can work with an empty value here. Let's do this a second time. As I said, the image build and the image push should be a little bit quicker now. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, as expected. I don't think it tried to pull the image before, so that seems to be a pre-flight check in Kamal itself with the Rails master key. I mean, I could scroll back and see if that was the case before. Yeah, I guess so. We even tried container ls and all that stuff. Okay, now, yeah. We need to define all the secrets that we referenced in the deploy configuration, which does make sense. So let's do it like this. We'll simply go ahead and can I do a macro for that? I think I can, right? Let's record a macro. We will copy from here to okay, that's nope. Wait. Let's do it properly. We will copy from here to here. We will then nope. Let's do it again. Copy to here. Like this. Wonders of Vim. Okay, those environment variables are almost all empty. Well, actually not. .env will actually set them from my .env file. And judging from our .env.sample file, we do define db host, Redis URL, and all that jazz. So yeah. This could actually work better than just using empty values. .env is a really helpful utility. Let's see what happens. Will we get a successful deployment? Well, deployment in the sense that it'll try and run the application. It'll probably fail if it tries a health check or something, because that application will not work with my development secrets. It will not work without a Postgres database. It will not run without a Redis database. However, it did create a web.env, probably populated with secrets. So we did pass the secret collection phase here, and now it's actually trying to run the application. So what failed here? Docker container ls. I guess the application itself bombed, which was to be expected. Let's see. Let's go up here. We did what? It did. Oh, okay. Yeah. At least we shouldn't try app.example.com with TLS. That will definitely not work. It'll try to get a Let's Encrypt certificate for app.example.com. We should disable that for the time being. And then it does a container ls. and read the logs of those containers. So up here, it did run my application in the Kamal network. Host name, something cryptic using the IP address. Container name, Kamal version, Kamal host. Yeah, it passes in the environment variables that it can pass in using as env in plain text, and then it uses an env file, which probably contains the secrets. Does it remove this file? I sure hope it does. Wouldn't want to have that laying around once I switch to storing my secrets in 1Password. Otherwise, I could simply use a .env file locally as well. Label, role web, label destination. Yep. Okay. And it did finish that. Then it tries to see if that container is running. I guess that was successful as well. And then it says fail to boot web. That might be or might not be related to Kamal proxy failing. Kamal proxy takes care of the deployment because it does the zero downtime deployment, I guess. That's part of Kamal proxy. Interesting. Okay, so it did fail. We need to switch off TLS at least. That's not going to work until we use a real host name. Which means we definitely need to switch that to false. Which port are we using actually? We expose port 3000, so that's what we need to set up here as well. No wonder it's not working. And we'll have to extend our setup to not use... Oh, we are using Puma, aren't we? So, yeah, that might actually work. But we are running Puma on port 3000. We are again at the Kamal proxy stage, without TLS and port 3000. At least it's taking a little bit longer to fail, if it fails. It still failed. Let's find out why. Still tries to get the logs, which these are, I guess, the logs. Switch to inspect mode? What does that mean? Wait, it did do JSON state health successfully. Why does it do a Docker stop though? It's even releasing the deploy log. Wait, here's an error, null. That's the inspect. State health, yeah. Okay, yeah, that application will not be healthy for a while until we've set up all the details. So I guess it is running. We can close that shell. Let's see. Yep. No, it's only running the Kamal proxy. The application itself probably got cleaned up again. All right. That means we'll have to take care of the details now. Starting with the database and Redis. So, let me leaf through the handbook. Let's go into table of contents, registry server, domain name, databases, 5.6 databases. SQLite, no, we can't, unfortunately we can't use SQLite because I need Postgres sequences. We don't have a managed database either, where we can simply reference the credentials. I just realized, reading through the book, that it mentions database migrations, and it says you can write a Docker entry point script that before starting the actual Rails web server, you can run the database migrations. Whenever the web server spins up fresh, it'll try and run database migrations, which makes sense. And then it says you could also do it from the pre-deploy hook. But that doesn't make any sense to me because running migrations before I deploy my new code, which might include new migrations, will not do me any good. It'll just rerun the previous version's migrations. And so I'm not sure how a pre-deploy hook would help. But maybe pre-deploy happens when the image is already there, but not yet enabled in Kamal proxy. Let's look that up, actually. I wish I could, well, I could actually share the book with you. Not the book exactly, I'm not going to violate any copyrights here, but I could display it on screen. If I realize that I'm spending more time in the book, then I'll share it on screen so that you can look with me. Let's look at installation. Where are hooks defined? Provisioning? No. Kamal proxy? No, that's too far in. Workflow hooks 2.2. Let's see. It's going to run. The hooks in chronological order are pre-connect, pre-proxy reboot, post-proxy reboot, then Docker setup. That's not chronological, is it? Pre-build is before the image is built, pre-deploy before the application boot. And then there's post-deploy after the application finished booting. And booting means, if I interpret that correctly, that is when the image is already in Docker And actually, when the new version is already running in Docker, but Kamal proxy hasn't yet switched to it. And in that case, using a pre-deploy hook to run migrations does make sense. Okay, I think it was good to question that for a moment. Now, let's get back to databases. No, that's just where I was before. Come on, setup, cleaning up. Now, let's go to chapter 14, accessories, PostgreSQL. Okay. We can simply go down here to accessories. And define an accessory Postgres. Because that's how I do it locally as well, isn't it? Let me see. That's the Docker Compose file. Yeah. So we have Postgres, and we're using Postgres 14 at the moment in development. We'll have to upgrade that eventually. And then there's Redis. For development, I also need a local chef server. We won't need that in staging or deployment. So it's going to be Postgres and Redis. Okay, so Postgres. Image is going to be Postgres 14, just like we've been using it locally so far. Host is going to be the same one, so I'm not going to write that manually, but go up here and copy that. That's the host. Our environment is going to be, we'll have a Postgres user. That's dashboard API. And the Postgres DB is also going to be dashboard API prod, I guess, but we'll just call it dashboard API. I'll have to find out how to do staging eventually. This is going to be staging. We'll use it like this. And then we'll have a secret, of course, and that's the Postgres password. So we'll have to use that. We'll have to add that to our secrets file as well. We'll define directories. Guess that's Docker volumes. We'll call it Postgres dash data, underscore data. What's better here? Let's use underscore. Postgres data. And that's going to be varlib PostgreSQL data. The command is going to be Postgres -c. Will we have to provide our own configuration though? I think we'll do without for the time being. Is that how it works? How did we do it in our Docker Compose file? We simply defined a Postgres password and are using the default password, I guess, which works for the time being. We can tear everything down and deploy it from fresh. But let's make our lives a little bit easier for the time being, just for exploration purposes. Here I've called it Postgres-data. I guess Docker volumes doesn't really matter. I think I prefer underscores though. Okay, so we'll define the secret as Postgres. That's Postgres password. So let's go into secrets. Let's add it here. Postgres password equals Postgres. That will have to change. Okay. I wonder why I didn't add that to the .env file. Might be for historical reasons. Okay. That will at least give us the Postgres database. A non-existing one. So we might have to create that entry point script that I mentioned earlier that goes and initializes the database. Because we are referencing a database dashboard underscore API here that does not exist. So, yeah, I think it makes sense to create that entry point. So in development, we simply use Postgres. Postgres, that's the same What is the default user in the Postgres Docker image? Postgres password. That needs to be specified. That's because the Postgres image is going to set this up. Okay. Then Postgres user. If it is not specified, then the default user of Postgres will be used. Postgres, the same as the password. Okay. And then we use PostgreSQL dashboard API. Okay. So, that might even work. Let's commit these changes. Oh, let's not push it yet, but let's do a .env Kamal setup. Or is setup still the right thing to do? I think it's Kamal deploy or Kamal build or something, right? Let's see. Deployments. Kamal setup. First deploy. Service registry. Kamal setup. Initial Kamal setup. Once the image is built. If your application didn't boot, check the logs with Kamal app logs. That's something we could do now. We need to do now that we are dealing with database access. Okay, that's yeah. Kamal deploy is the right thing. No, you don't have to do the whole setup anymore. Ooh, look at that! Unknown key directories. Did I copy that? Wrongly. There is a key directories. Did that change? I was surprised that it's directories. Shouldn't it be volumes? Why would they change the terminology used in Docker? Let's check the Kamal documentation itself. Configuring accessories. Service name, image registry, accessory hosts, port mappings. I don't think we'll have to expose ports here. Should use the internal network for access. Labels, options, directories. There is directories, but it's under env. I got the wrong indentation here. Here we go. And they did actually change the terminology. I wonder why. Maybe to make it more approachable for people not familiar with the Docker terminology? What do you think? Ooh, should be an array. Yes, it should. Things are running much faster now. I wonder if I actually should have used Kamal setup, because I'm not sure if Kamal deploy will take care of the accessories of the additional database. It might just deploy the application without looking after the accessories. Because now it tries to deploy the application via Kamal proxy. And that, of course, will fail again because the database hasn't been set up. So let's try setup again. It does include deploy, but it pretty certainly includes more steps around the environment. Creates the network. Yeah, here we go. That's Postgres getting set up. And now it's trying to deploy the application. I wonder if Postgres is actually running. Let's take a look. Docker PS. Yes, we have a Postgres. And it's still up. Kamal proxy is up, and my own application is restarting. And that failed. Okay. So the last thing that it did was it tried to get the health state, and that was bad. So what did we say? Kamal app logs. Nothing found. That is disappointing. It tried to get logs for why did it try twice? Once for the web role and once for the job role. Okay. Yeah, the job role will definitely fail. Maybe we should remove that for the time being. Where is it? Where is it? Let's remove that for the time being, because that will always fail, and that might cause me to retry, even though the web application is actually working nicely. It's just the job that doesn't run, because bin jobs is definitely not the right thing, I guess. Is it? Is it actually? No, there's no bin jobs. There's bin delayed job. We could try that, but one step at a time. Let's get the web front end working first. Yeah, let's give this another try with just the web front end. So this takes a lot of experimentation until it works. Hopefully this is only going to be necessary once. Just for me to figure out things. In the meantime, if you joined us recently, welcome. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. This is my live coding channel where I mostly do work that's related to our managed hosting business. At the moment, I'm trying to deploy our customer dashboard in a new way using Kamal. And tomorrow, in, well, about 26 hours, I'm going to start my free live-streamed Linux administration course. If you'd like to take part, it's getting live-streamed on my 3 channels and doesn't cost you anything. Then use the !linuxcourse command to find out more. Now, where are we now? Wait, I tried to run this command. It executed the command successfully, but then got an error, I guess. The application is definitely not running. BrainZap, how you doing? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't participate in that religion. Even though I reluctantly am trying out Kamal, I'd rather not discuss DHH. Just gets me into a bad mood. Okay, so not sure how to find out what's happening now if the app logs don't give me anything and the setup command doesn't give me anything either. I mean, I could try and use my credential, but maybe it's just because the database doesn't exist yet. Let's try that. Let's add the entry point script. Is that mentioned in the book? You know what? Let me set up oh, it's 5 o'clock. I should probably wrap things up because there are more things I need to take care of. It's been already going on for almost 3 hours. Quite productively. I've learned a lot about Kamal. Let's give this last thing a try. Let's see. Does the book mention... We could provide Postgres with an init SQL that does create our database. Yeah. Could do that. Let's try that, and then I'll go and take care of other business. So we will go into config and we'll create Postgres init.sql. Where we simply run a create database dashboard underscore API. That will at least make it possible to access that. And then we'll have to reference that in the files section of our... Nope, whoops. In the files section of our deploy config postgres init.sql goes into / docker endpoint. No, entry point, not endpoint. Entry point initdb, that is correct. .d, right? Setup.sql. I guess we can actually delete the MySQL part here. Not sure what happens now, because Postgres has already been set up. Maybe we'll have to tear down what we have and start fresh. So, Brains app, judging from your initial question, you are familiar with Kamal, with the Rails ecosystem. Is that something where you do development? What did it do? Did it touch the Postgres database at all? Don't think so, huh? Docker run? Nope. Try to run the application, but well, it says running entry point initdb.d. I created the setup as SQL file. Yeah, that's because it's in the deploy file. It's good to see how it manages the directories here as well. So if I have an accessory called Postgres, it gets prefixed with the project name or the app name. So I could have actually called it data because it gets prefixed with the accessory name in the directory. So yeah, I don't need to repeat the accessory name, the database, or the application name here. That's good to know. It did create the setup SQL file, but since it didn't restart or even redeploy Postgres, that did not have any effect. So I guess we need something like accessory. Yep. Do we restart Postgres? Not sure if even a restart would run the setup SQL, but we can try. Postgres accessory restart Postgres. It did restart the container, and I guess it's been up for 7 seconds now. Still running. We could do Docker logs, CE B59. Shutting down, ready for startup. Shutting down, listening, ready to accept connections. It did ignore the setup file, I think. Yeah, up here it says ignoring Docker entry point because the database is already running. So what we need to do is a accessory remove, right? Remove accessory container, image and data directory. So that's complete nuke and pave. Okay. Not a problem. We can then go ahead and boot. Yeah, let's try that. On the other hand, yeah, there's still time. Okay. Okay, let's do a remove Postgres. Remove Postgres. This will remove all containers images for Postgres. Are you sure? Yes. Ooh. Can't remove. Permission denied. Why is that? Come on. Oof, yeah, that was a little bit much. That's the deploy user. Ah, the data directory belongs to root, or it belongs to the Postgres user inside the container, right? So ls-l dashboard, yeah, Postgres. Yeah, that gets mapped to the local DNS mask user, which is ID 999, which is apparently the same ID that the Postgres container uses internally. Okay, so we'll help with root power. And then we'll boot Postgres again. I could have changed the volume name to eliminate this little bit of redundancy. We can still do that. However, I would like to see the logs now. Docker, I guess we could use Kamal as well, right? There is an accessory logs command, right? Yeah. It does make things easier. It definitely does make things easier. Interesting. Database dashboard API already exists, so yeah, it did do that. Not sure why it tries it twice. But it does exist. Okay. Which means we should be able to use psql. That's inside the container now. Okay. Let's go back to Kamal setup then. Maybe even Kamal deploy would have been sufficient now that the accessor is running. While the application still needs Redis to work correctly, I think it boots up without Redis, if I remember that correctly. So maybe this works if I cobbled together the credentials correctly. Is it taking a little bit longer now? It's still failing in the same way as before, right? Yeah, it's still getting the error null when it tries to get state health, because I guess the container doesn't even exist anymore once it gets to Docker inspect. That's why it gets an error null. Or the container exists, but there's just no state health field. And so it gets a null value from there. Or the state health field has a value of null. That could be as well. So now we'll have to find out what's actually going wrong. But I think I will have to postpone that, because there are other things and I'm exceeding my scheduled streaming time here. Is this chronologically? Yes, about a minute ago. So how about we try and get the logs from that. Docker logs. Oh, that's just switched to inspect mode. Is that something Rails related? Here's another deployment. Wait, that was this. No, that was. Yeah, it always says switch to inspect mode, so that's exactly what we're getting here as well. Rails container, switch to inspect mode. That's Docker inspect, right? I think that's just the container failing. Okay, that's something that needs a little bit more fiddling. All right, so what did we learn? Kamal can be really nifty because it does deployment via SSH, taking care of all the Docker setup behind the curtain, and once it works, it'll be pretty neat because I can simply do Kamal logs to get current status. It does zero downtime deployment using the health of the newly deployed container before it switches over from the old containers that will still be running to the new containers, and then only it will tear down the old containers. So that's all pretty nice. Getting the configuration right is definitely a challenge, and I think setting up a new Rails application that doesn't yet have a database that will start populating the database once it's running is also a little bit easier than migrating an existing application that will require specific secrets, that will require a database import from existing data and things like that. So I'm definitely playing this in at least at intermediate mode. But so far so good, and I think the time is well spent. I'm looking forward to seeing this work. I will keep trying at this, probably tomorrow, but I won't be able to do a live stream about it because I need to save my energy for tonight's, for the Linux course that I'm going to do tomorrow night. Again, exclamation mark Linux course gives you all the details how you can participate for free in my course, Basic Linux System Administration. I'm very much looking forward to getting started with it. I'm also a little bit nervous because I'm having high expectations on myself, and let's see how this is going to work out. And yeah, so I hope to see you tomorrow night at the course, or maybe on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock Dublin time. I'm going to do an office hour where I simply sit here and answer your questions, viewer questions about DevOps, SREs, software engineering, all kinds of stuff. So if you have any questions, bring them to my office hour on Friday afternoon. If you are not yet following the channel, regardless where you are watching this, make sure to follow so you get notified when I go online next, which is going to be tomorrow night for the Linux course. And with that, I think we are going to wrap things up. Thanks for participating, thanks for helping out, thanks for chatting in general, and I hope you will have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you soon. Take care.